All right, I am standing here with Bobby Goodrow. We're standing at the Activator AI booth at the NADA Show 2025. Bobby, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks for stopping by.
And we have had a lot of conversations over the past year, and I love the conversation that you're having around the CDP. You know, the CDP has kind of become the buzzword in our industry. It's like CDP or AI, which one do you get? And you guys threw all of it into one.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
But talk to me about just like, let's go back to the thesis of why making a CDP and building on top of the tech stack that you did was important to you.
Yeah, so I think when we started this process, we have three legs of the stool. So we wanted to make sure that when we introduced the CDP, we were doing it the right way, the way that a CDP would be defined outside of the automotive world and where it's working successfully. And then how do we clean up the data on one side and organize it? And then how do we execute and activate the marketing on the other side? And so when we approached that, we just knew from our 20 years of experience working with DMSs, being a CRM, owning CRM companies in the past, just there's this whole level and layer of data challenges that probably other companies and other industries don't have to face when we're talking about duplicate records and malformed records and invalid email addresses. So what we like to talk about is we started building around the strategy from the inside out as opposed to the outside in. So our ultimate goal is to be able to market to a person and understand that person and market to them as an individual. And that all starts with making the cleanest record that's starting and always kind of starting and ending with the CDP or with the CRM or the DMS.
Yeah, and you were telling me just before that, you know, we chase after solutions a lot of times in our industries that kind of look sexy in the time, but we forget that they're disconnected then potentially from the final process or the real outcome that we want to have. Can you talk a little bit about like what are some of those things that over the last 4 to 5 years we've maybe run into so fast that we forgot that there were other things that needed to happen around them?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a couple different ways to unpack that, but I think on two areas is one is with the data. So we see there's a lot of companies, and it's important to pull in all the first data. That is the ultimate promise of a CDP. But if we see a lot of companies out there that are kind of ingesting all of this data from all of these other sources, but it's not anchored into anything. And that's where we've taken the opposite approach, is we've created the anchor first and the foundation first. So then when we're ready to start pulling in all of this first party data, it's going into one central place. And then the second area is just there was a lot of, I think, assumptions or misconceptions that from a marketing activation standpoint, that all of these different marketing partners that in some cases have been around for 10, 15, 20 years had the capability to actually activate the marketing. And the way we talk about it is from buying signals is you got to be able to pass and catch those buying signals. And we had our own homegrown system, so we already knew the challenges, which is why we partnered with Salesforce and Marketing Cloud to execute our marketing for dealers.
Yeah, so when we think about the fact that there's so much interaction online, but then there's interaction offline as well that a lot of times we miss. We kind of had this golden nugget that we chased after as an industry that said, oh, we're doing digital ads, now we know everything about our users, but there's online and offline signals that we need to tie together. How are you tying those together and getting business outcomes out?
Yeah, 100%. So when I mentioned earlier, here's our three legs of the stool, which is, you know, the marketing automation, it's the CDP, and it's our ability to pull in the information. So really the three values that we bring to a dealer is we do passive marketing out of the DMS and the CRM. We're doing active marketing, active shopper marketing. So we're doing digital marketing and ads. We're doing identity resolution on the website. But in both of those cases, it's all starting and ending with that unified record that we create in our CDP that starts with the DMS and the CRM records that we're cleaning up first before we start doing any marketing.
How are dealership users, not just like the automated stuff that you guys are doing, but how are dealership users finding efficiencies or opportunities with the data that you're presenting to them?
Yeah, so what we're really excited to here at NADA was we're starting to roll out some of our new reporting. So we've got a customer profile report. So not only can we, I can tell you, oh, we're doing all of these things, and some people are like, how do you do that? We actually can show it in our customer profile report. So you can look at all of the records that we've cleaned up. And then essentially there could be 5 records for Bobby Goodrow, and we don't want to just take the best record, we want to take all 5 of them, and we're using algorithms and AI to be able to predict what contact information that we want to use when that record, falls into some kind of a journey or some type of audience. So the customer profile report really gives a bird's eye view of all the information, all the service history, all of the marketing that's happened every day from the beginning of time that we've been able to capture. And then we're also rolling out a segmentation report. So that has the ability, now I want to create this audience, and then I can see who's going to be pulled into it, and maybe there's 200 people that I pulled in, but what we're seeing a lot of times, of these 200 people, here's 100 people we can't even reach because we don't even have an email or a phone number for them. Wow. So then we've got a lot of strategies on where we can backfill that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So everybody's interested, and I've got all this data, I've got all this marketing automation, but what are the dealers that are using this right now experiencing either from a marketing expense reduction or a growth opportunity on the sales side right now? Like, where are the business outcomes happening the most?
It's really on two areas. So there is an area where there is some cost substitution where we're able to, eliminate some other marketing tools that they may have, or a lot of wasted spend that they were doing, whether that was on direct mail or just sending things out into the ether where there's really no true path back to ROI. And then just with the engagement. So on, almost on day one, once we turn a dealer on, we're able to start executing marketing immediately across 7 different customer journeys or custom campaigns. And so that level of engagement and the hand raisers, which is really incremental, and that's the way we want to be looking at our reporting, is like, this is incremental engagement, this is incremental business that we're driving into the dealership.
That's awesome. Well, Bobby, thanks for sharing what you're doing. Your passion is palpable. I love what you guys have come up with, and thanks for sharing with us what you're doing at NAD.
No, thanks for coming, and likewise. Yeah. Thank you. Cool.